Rick Rubin's Haunted Mansion. A true story. Something was lurking in the mansion. Rick Rubin had spent his life surrounded by sound. Guitar riffs, bass lines, the rhythmic pulse of a drum. But in one particular house, he discovered something far more sinister than music. This is the true story of Rick Rubin's Haunted Mansion. A place where creativity and the paranormal collided in the most unsettling way. Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, Jay Surastro, and tonight's tale might be a little spooky, but if you're brave enough, grab your hot cocoa and prepare yourselves for another installment of the Dusk Dawn Intersect. The Mansion. In the hills of Laurel Canyon, nestled in an overgrown expanse of trees and shadows, sat the mansion. Built in the early 19,000s, it was a grand yet eerie estate that had once been home to silent film stars and later a cult with dark reputation. By the time Rick Rubin acquired it, the house had already earned a reputation for being haunted. That didn't deter him. In fact, he was drawn to the mystery of it. Rubin transformed the house into a recording studio, where legends like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Slipknot, and Linkin Park would later lay down their most iconic tracks. But before music ever filled its walls, something else made its presence known. The first encounters. Now, Rick wasn't one to be easily spooked, but it didn't take long before he started feeling uneasy in its own home. He would often hear footsteps pacing the hallways at night, slow and deliberate, even when he was alone. Doors creaked open without explanation, and the air inside certain rooms felt unnaturally cold. One night, while laying in his bed, he awoke to the sensation of being watched. The feeling was so intense that he turned on the lights, half expecting to see someone standing over him. But the room was empty. Still, the feeling of unseen eyes never left him. The shadow figure. Perhaps the most chilling encounter came one evening while Rick was working in the control room. Deep in the progress of mixing tracks, he glanced up and saw, in the dim glow of the hallway, a shadowy figure standing in the doorway. At first, he assumed it was an engineer or an assistant. But as he squinted, he realized something was off. The figure had no distinguishable features, just a black mass, darker than the shadows around it. Rick stared, frozen in place. Then, without a sound, the figure turned and drifted down the hallway, disappearing into the darkness. Shaken, he got up to investigate, but the corridor was empty. No one had been in the house with him. A musician's terror. Word of the haunting spread among the musicians who came to record at the mansion. One night, a guitarist staying in one of the guest rooms woke up to find his blankets slowly being pulled off of him. When he scrambled to grab them back, he felt an icy hand brush against his wrist. Another artist, who had fell asleep in the lounge, awoke to the sight of a woman in a white dress, standing at the foot of the couch. As he blinked, she faded away, leaving behind only the lingering scent of old perfume. The breaking point. Despite the eerie occurrences, Rick continued to live and work in the mansion, even embracing its haunted reputation. But one night, something happened that made him question whether he should stay. He had fallen asleep in his room when he suddenly awoke to the sound of whispered voices. It was a hushed, hurried conversation, dozens of voices speaking at once, as though an invisible crowd had gathered around his bed. He bolted upright, heart pounding. The whisper stopped instantly, replaced by an overwhelming silence. Then, just as he was about to turn on the light, his entire bed lurched as if something had slammed into it from beneath. That was enough. Rick left the room, choosing to sleep in a different part of the house that night. Living with the unknown. Over time, the hauntings became something of an accepted reality. Some musicians refused to sleep in the house, while others found inspiration in its eerie energy. Rick himself never fully understood what lurked in the mansion, but he never let it drive him away either. The spirits, it seemed, had become part of the creative process. To this day, the mansion remains a legendary recording studio, and many who stay there report strange occurrences. Rick Rubin, ever the master of capturing unseen forces in music, found himself face to face with something he couldn't explain. An energy that echoed through the walls, much like the songs that were recorded there. Perhaps, in some way, the mansion had always been listening. What do you think? Do you believe in haunted places like Mr. Rubin's mansion? Have you ever experienced something paranormal yourself? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, please make sure to like and subscribe for more eerie true tales. See you next time on the Dusk Dawn Intersect.